What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Nehemiah, aka Neo. Today we're just gonna be talking about the NBA in general, and this is more so a video about how competitive this next year is going to be. Now, I said this in a video about like my 5 biggest takeaways or predictions going into the next season, but this is going to be something that's a little bit more expanded upon because I think that there's nothing to do, or that there's nothing that I could say in what 2, 3 ish minutes. I would really cover around how great a lot of these teams are. And not only that, but I kind of want to pull up something from the last couple of NBA seasons. So yeah, let's just get into it. So as you guys see, I have a lot of teams pulled up, and it's essentially for my top. So it's essentially based off of this video where I ranked all the teams that I was gonna say, or well, I ranked every NBA team. But the only thing is, I would say that this was definitely one before a lot of the situations that we've seen so far, and two, this was before preseason even. So I didn't really see anything like about these teams. I didn't really see what's going on, and right now I would say that the way I've ranked them so far, based off the preseason, I actually did bump the Warriors down a little bit. I bumped them down from what I think I had the fourth. I had them fourth, and I bumped them down to like where Boston is, and that's not because I think that they legitimately got worse, but I think that this Draymond Green and Poole situation is a lot deeper than we may even think, and there's a good chance that they might not be as good as we originally thought, especially if the chemistry is bad. But a team that actually bumped up was Philadelphia, and that is because Tyrese Maxey is playing like the second coming of Jesus Christ. Like, goddamn, I don't get it. The Memphis Grizzlies, I didn't actually check their preseason record, but I know that some of their guys are going off right now, and that's what you really want to see from Memphis because they're still a younger team and they're finding like diamonds in the rough every single time in the draft, and it's crazy. I also bumped a team like Boston up, and even Cleveland, because from what I've seen in the preseason, these teams are meshing well with their new additions. I think that a guy like Malcolm Brogdon probably the perfect fit for this team, and Donovan Mitchell is a perfect fit for this team. And these guys are just doing what they need to do on each side of the ball. And honestly, if it really comes down to it, these are two of the most versatile teams in the NBA, especially Boston. So that's something to talk about. New Orleans, I already said a lot about New Orleans. I already have my expectations for them. They are definitely one of the best teams in the NBA, and nothing can convince me otherwise. Brooklyn Nets, I would say after the first playing game or preseason game, I was definitely really high on them, and then I heard about the second playoff game. I never really seen it. The thing about the Brooklyn Nets preseason second game was that Ben Simmons just got cut off, and that's a really big concern for me. But I want to watch that game before I really make a haste judgment. And I have a little bit of my top 13 teams. These are the last three: Minnesota, Atlanta, and Miami. I think that I kind of slept on Miami a little bit. I think that even the Phoenix Suns may be a little bit slept on for me, but I think that Minnesota, Atlanta, and Miami are definitely right next to these guys, and I definitely did underrate a lot of these guys. And DeJounte Murray is looking like the third coming of Jesus Christ, because I goddamn, this dude's connection with John Collins the first time is immaculate. But let's go on to the serious stuff. So this is one of the more competitive NBA seasons, and honestly, I would say that this is definitely going to get hard carried by the West this year. So as we've seen, there is only one 61 team, and that is the Boston Celtics. The rest are a bunch of 51 teams, if not a little bit above 40, like a little bit breaking 500. So that's what we really got. For the East, it was really just these guys who are really just the top dogs of this year. This is the year that I think this is more so a thing that I'm talking about with the West. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 teams are 15 wins in the West. And that's the reason why no one got 16 wins in the West. It wasn't because there wasn't a really elite team in the West. Don't get me wrong. The reason why is because they were all just this good. A team like the Warriors, if they were in this conference, they would be the fourth seed. And the reason why I brought this specific year up is because I would say that this is actually one of the more competitive years in terms of seeding And in terms of playoffs, it wasn't that far off actually. And to be quite frank with you, I think that this is what we're gonna see this year. We have a bunch of 50-win teams, if not teams that just got better. Looking at the standings last year, let me just pull them up. So as we see, we have like 4 51 teams last year, and look at it like this: this team is going to improve. This team may improve. The Utah Jazz are actually going to fall off. I think that the Phoenix Suns will also fall off a little bit. Uh, Depending on how you feel about the Warriors, they also may fall off though. But this team is, I think, could win 50 games. This team, after a certain mark, they were 500. I think it was 1-12. They became a 500 team, and I expect when John Williamson comes back, these guys definitely will be up there. So we already have what 7 51 teams, and you can make an argument for the Phoenix Suns. Actually, I think that's it for the Western Conference. But for the East is actually a really, it's gonna be a battle because looking at the East, we have like we already have five no, excuse me, 4 teams. I don't know why I said five. 4 teams that were 51s. However, there's a couple things that we need to talk about. The Brooklyn Nets, the Chicago Bulls, and the Cleveland Cavaliers all suffer from injuries from this year. And I think that's a really big factor in terms of why they weren't really the best in terms of the seeding. If you want to throw out hypotheticals, like these all could be 51 teams, I just throw something out there. The Atlanta Hawks are also a really solid team. And I don't think we realize thus far, but we already have 14 teams. Or not 14, excuse me. We have 16 teams already that are already playoff capable. They've made the playoffs last year. If not, they were very close to making the playoffs if it wasn't for one thing or another. Like the Los Angeles Clippers should have made the playoffs last year instead of the New Orleans Pelicans, but even then, the New Orleans Pelicans were still really good in the play-in, and the Cleveland Cavaliers, the only reason why they didn't make it was because they fell from the seedings because of Jared Allen. But if it wasn't for that case, they were the top like 4 seed the whole year. And that's something to really look at. Not only that, but when we look at the East this year specifically, the top 10 seeds were all 500 teams. So that's something to really look at. For the West, it was the top 7 teams. Excuse me, top 8 teams. I don't know why I said 7. But as you can kind of see here, yeah, these guys, well, the only team that I don't think that will actually keep up will be the Utah Jazz. But besides that, we just have a bunch of teams that are just ready right now to win. And like the only other team that would probably just get rid of from either conference is the Charlotte Hornets. And not only that, but if we really just narrow it down to teams that I could think legitimately could win a championship or could at least make the finals, we got teams like the Brooklyn Nets, we got teams like the Cleveland Cavaliers, Atlanta Hawks, the Philadelphia 76ers, and all these teams have made big acquisitions. If not, they were already there. Even a team like Miami, they already have the defense to really just be one of the best teams in the NBA. They already have the depth, the coaching, everything else. The only thing is that they just don't have the best fit around Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. I'm slurring my words, bro. I'm sorry. I'm just out of it. But we have the team like the Memphis Grizzlies, who I've already been caping for. I think people are saying that they're going to be, what, a 49-win team. I think that they're probably going to be the first seed. A team like the Golden State Warriors, actually. I still don't know what's going to come about the Jordan Poole, Draymond Green situation, but if it's going to be anything pretty solid, I think that we're going to see something really solid from them again. Maybe even a title contention year. Again, I don't really know. It really depends on how good Draymond Green's looking out there, and two, if Jordan Poole is gonna still buy into the culture. So yeah, the Denver Nuggets, the Dallas Mavericks. Actually, let me just get rid of them. You can see the New Orleans Pelicans and the Minnesota Timberwolves actually going to the finals, but just look at these guys. Like, we just have players who are all NBA talents on this team, this team, this team, this team. Like, these all have all NBA talents. And even if you want to say that the Phoenix Suns don't have all NBA talent, even if they have Devin Booker, we could still look at the team and just say that they have like 3 all-star caliber players. A team like Memphis already has a all NBA first guy on there. Did hold on, let me check something. I was about to misspeak saying that John Morant was a All NBA first team, but he's actually a second team member. So again, we have a team, or we have this conference who has like what, one, two, three, four, five. They have 850 win teams. And also, there's one more thing that we have to talk about when it comes to this type of stuff. One of these teams or one of these conferences will have to be weaker than the other team or the other conference, and I don't know which one will have more bottom feeders. Actually, it'll probably be the East. Houston, the Sacramento Kings, the Oklahoma City Thunder are obviously going to be tankers. Maybe even the San Antonio Spurs are probably just going to go for Victor or Scoot, but major takeaway again is that these teams just have a lot of all NBA just caliber players just straight off the bat. Even a team like the Dallas Mavericks have Luka, all NBA first team guy. Again, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. They got Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and even a guy like Malcolm Brogdon is a sub All Star ish player. A team like Milwaukee, we don't need to talk about Milwaukee. A team like Philadelphia, we don't need to talk about Philadelphia. Same with the Brooklyn Nets, even though I would say that there's definitely still a bit of concern for them, at least in terms of title contention. But even then, regular season, like Kevin Durant got it, bro. Like Kevin Durant got it. Kyrie Irving, if he's there, he got it. And even then, Ben Simmons maybe could just throw a little bit off the load for those two. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I think that as we've seen, especially in the preseason, that this team is just fitting way too well with each other. And once Evan Mobley comes back, man, this team is about to be dangerous. Same with the Atlanta Hawks. Like, all these teams, I think over the offseason just got better. But look at this. Like, I still think that these teams just got significantly better. Even just from a player coming back, them getting a trade, them signing some players. Like, even the Brooklyn Nets got a couple of pieces from the Utah Jazz that you really don't expect. So I just think that this is very, very, very great for the league. They just have so much talent in this league that it's very hard for me to say that some of these teams will not win 50 games. You know, me saying a team like the Milwaukee Bucks not winning 50 games is going to be something tough for me, but there's a chance that may not happen. A team like the Atlanta Hawks, Cleveland Cavaliers, like a lot of this really does depend on health, and that's a very big concern. I hope that all these teams just bring their A game. This could be one of the best seasons of all time if everyone just tries their best, if everyone just has all this good stuff going around. Because look at some of these contenders. Even if you don't think that all these guys are contenders, look at just how much pure talent is within all these 16 teams. All these guys are probably going to meet up in the first round. All of them. Even if you don't think that the Chicago Bulls or the Dallas Mavericks are all that, or if you don't think that the Minnesota Timberwolves and even the Cavaliers are all that, like even then, we still have 6 teams on each conference. All of them are probably going to meet up in the playoffs, the first round. This is going to be insane. And I really hope that we get good matchups in the first round. We don't get like an Atlanta Hawks, Miami Heat series where, while I would say that the rosters are necessarily that big of a gap, I would say that Miami was definitely better, but not like ridiculously better from head to toe. I would say that it was more so just a matchup problem against Trae Young. However, if we get a team like Atlanta versus the Philadelphia 76ers, that's a much better series. Same with the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't want them to see the Minnesota Timberwolves because I think that the Minnesota Timberwolves just have too much defensive talent around Cat for them to, or in Rudy Gobert, for them to really lose that series, especially considering how they played last year. But the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Warriors, the first round, I would love to see that. And I know you guys would love to see that. So I really hope that this ends up being one of the more competitive series or seasons of the NBA, especially during the regular season, because I think that seeding is going to matter a lot this year, especially when we pull up of how many great teams we have. So yeah, it's been your boy Nehemiah, aka Neo. I want to say that I hope that this team or this season is one of the best in NBA history. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. What are your some thoughts on a lot of these teams? Which one's going to be the first seed of the NBA even? And which one is going to win the NBA championship? Who do you guys want to see in the first round? And yeah, that's it for me. And I hope you guys are having a great one.